Hello everyone, it's Maha. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope you're all doing really well. Today, I thought I would do a video response to Donna from Embracing the Moon, where she talked about her tarot practice, how it sort of began and how it's kind of changed and where it's going, where it is now, past, present kind of thing. And I really liked that idea and I wanted to share my tarot practice with you, since I haven't really done a video just on that topic. And this is also kind of a VR to Heather Carter. She watched a video I really enjoyed where she talked about her tarot practice and her just sort of her rituals and what she does with tarot. I'm not really going to do just that. I'm gonna it's like a story time day, everybody. It's Sunday, very quiet. So quiet outside. It's like my only day of the week that I get a break from all the noise, all the construction going on in Vancouver. There's construction basically everywhere around me right now. I'm surrounded by it. And also I have a day off from Cheeky today. My mom is babysitting him for a few hours, so I get the whole apartment to myself. I can just relax. It's just so weird not to have any noise around me. And Cheeky is a really hyperactive bird. You see him on camera and he's all sweet and cute, but really off camera, he drives me crazy sometimes. He's really hyperactive, but I love him to bits, as you know. And yes, today's just a really, it's a really calm, quiet, somber day. It's just it's a feeling in the air, a really beautiful, somber energy. And it's super cold here in Vancouver, by the way. It's freezing cold. Last night I was walking with my mom in a park close to my place and it was so cold. I don't think it's been this cold from my experience after living in Vancouver for 30 something years. I don't think it's been this cold ever since I can remember. In November, well, near the end of November it's colder, but it's not this cold. It's just really freezing right now. Usually it's like this in January. So technically it's not even winter yet. But anyway, as you can tell, I'm really feeling like just chatting. So I thought today was one of those days where I didn't want to prepare any kind of instructional, formal video. I just wanted to have a chat and share my story with tarot. I've done it in bits and pieces here and there throughout my channel. So I just kind of wanted to do a video on this topic. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's see. I want to start right from the very beginning. When I first got my first tarot deck, I actually bought it myself. I went to Banyan Books, which is a metaphysical shop here in Vancouver, a really great one. About half an hour drive from where I'm living right now. Big metaphysical shop with all kinds of books, CDs, crystals, anything you can imagine. It's like a heaven for us. And I went in there, well, this was like 15 years ago. So I got my first tarot deck because at the time I was taking belly dancing classes from this really wonderful lady, and she was really into astrology and tarot, and she was always talking about it, so she got me interested. And I went and got my first deck, just the universal Rider-Waite deck. And I had no idea what this was and how to use it. And the little white book, of course, it's nothing. It doesn't really explain much at all about tarot. So, I was kind of like, wanted to know more. I found a secondhand shop near my place and I got a book from there on tarot, but it was a book just on minor arcana cards, and it was by Rachel Pollack, and it's a book on sort of like the tree. It's called the Tree of Life in Tarot, I believe. It talks about the Kabbalah, the system of the Kabbalah and tarot. At the time, okay, this was like 15 years ago, I had no clue about anything to do with Kabbalah. I mean, I knew just barely about astrologies from sun sign columns, really just the superficial stuff on astrology, nothing about Kabbalah. I didn't even know what it was, and I didn't really even understand the tarot system. So I made a big effort though. I read that entire book, front to back, with a lot of focus and attention, I tried to understand it, but when I finished the book, I still was totally confused and didn't know what the hell tarot was all about and how to use it, what to do with it. Needless to say, this was not the right book for me at the time as a beginner. And I guess it wasn't really the right timing, you know? I believe that things happen in life, at least with me, for my life, things happen at the timing when I'm ready to receive the information. And so after that point, I kind of just left tarot alone. I was like, it's not really for me. I don't really understand it. I kind of put it in this beautiful wooden box and put it in my closet and just kind of forgot about it. Life went on, did my things, traveled around the world, I worked in France and I worked in Portugal as a teacher, as an art teacher in international schools, and I also taught English in Paris. I was a working full-time artist for a while in Paris, and because I got this, long story short, I'm telling you this is story time, but I'm trying to compress it. I got this scholarship to go to Paris and to to go to Europe and just look at art. And I lived my dream life of the artist for some time, for about 6 months. And then I went to Portugal and London, and I was working and teaching and all that stuff. Then I came back to Vancouver. I was living in Portugal, teaching, and what happened was an unfortunate series of events led me back to Vancouver. I actually injured my back, and then I subsequently injured my knee. Really traumatic physical injury. Then, meantime, while all this was happening, I was actually still traveling. I went to Argentina and I was living there and blah, blah, blah. Then I got really bad. I just could not even really function. I couldn't work. I had to stop working. I came back home. I came back home to Vancouver so I could have the right sort of health care. I would have my parents and my friends here, the proper care, and everything that I needed to heal and to rest, to recuperate. And so in the meantime, this was about 7 years ago, I was one day I was in my bedroom and my brother was visiting me and we were talking, and suddenly my closet was open and my eyes just spotted this box, this wooden box in my closet. And I didn't even actually at the time remember what was in it. So I asked my brother if he could grab that box for me, and he did. And he opened it. He was like, "What's this?" "Oh, it's a tarot deck." And he said, "Oh yeah, his friend reads tarot." So he was telling me about how his friend, who's a mutual friend of ours, reads tarot. And then I was really intrigued by my tarot deck. I hadn't even touched it in all these years, 15 years. So then I grabbed the box from him. I was all excited. I opened the cards. And it was like love at first sight. The feeling I got from looking at the deck this time versus the time prior to that, 15 years ago, was completely different. It was as if I was a different person looking at the cards for the first time. It was like I was totally ready to receive the information, the lessons, or the wisdom from tarot. It was the right timing. So that's when I delved into it. It was my new obsession. I was just, absorbing, digesting, learning about tarot as much as I could through all sources. I got a whole bunch of books on Kindle and hard copy. That's when I started going to YouTube, and that's when YouTube was becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, at least to my knowledge at the time. And so I started watching YouTube videos on tarot and sort of mini tarot lessons and just learning about tarot. I hadn't discovered the tarot community here at all. I was just watching those videos that I could find, longer videos really on tarot, and I was really into the occult meanings of the cards. I was really interested in listening to people who went really deep into the cards. I was very serious studying tarot, and it was I had my goal was my mission was I'm going to master tarot. This time I'm gonna get it. So it was day and night studying. I would literally have a card, my deck, actually my second deck, which I got, was the Shadowscapes tarot. I would literally have the two, the Rider-Waite one and the Universal, and then the Shadowscape next to my bed, my night table at night, and I would just be staring at the images, really just like absorbing. And then every day I had a card a week. Like I would put a card a week on my wall, like pin it to the wall, or like just not pin it, but put it on somewhere on the wall, and literally somewhere where I could see it all day, and come back and visit it and read about it and write journal about it, just about the meaning, just about what I was learning, about what the cards were telling me, and also what I was learning and the information I was receiving. Also, I started dreaming about tarot and the meanings of tarot. I was so engaged in this whole process of learning. And if you've been watching my videos for some time, you know that I love learning. Learning is my thing. It's like the thing that saves me through hard times, the thing that has saved me in the times that I was having a lot of trouble physically, mentally, emotionally, while I had this traumatic experience happen to me. Really just learning about tarot and of course astrology saved my life. Still is, actually, to some extent, I guess, right now. This is why I'm here. And what I found is my passion now to really soak myself in this stuff. So this was before I discovered the tarot community. And this is also shortly before I started getting all into tarot collecting. So like I said, I was studying tarot, learning tarot, and then I think somehow on Amazon I came across Shadowscapes Tarot, and that's when I got that one. And you know how on Amazon you get like recommended things, like customers who bought this also purchased these list of decks. And then you go click, oh my gosh, what, Marielle, what's this? So it was like suddenly this whole world of tarot decks opened up in front of me. And I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about if you're here. That feeling that's so exciting, that's like, oh my god, a whole world of stuff I didn't know about. What? And for me as an artist, looking at the decks by different creators and how they interpreted each card, how they designed each card, that was really a passion for me. And it still is a passion, just to see the art, just to see the different interpretations, and also learn from that. Like that was a huge learning tool for me, was buying the different decks, studying them, comparing them, comparative tarot, which is what I love, and just learning from looking at the different artists. And then I got all obsessed with decks. So then I would go on YouTube and watch, before buying decks from Amazon, I would go and watch YouTube reviews of the decks. And that's when I discovered this whole tarot community. And that's when I started learning in a different way, learning through people's experiences and the experiences sharing the cards and stuff like that. And this was probably, I would say 4 years ago. No, I would say like 5 years ago. So that was so much fun. It was so exciting. I did spend quite a lot of money, which I luckily paid off. But I would just, it was so exciting to get all the decks come in, what's new, what's this, and I was obsessed. I would go on Eclectic Tarot Forum, which doesn't exist anymore, sadly, and I would just discover all the new decks coming out, and oh my gosh, like what's this? And then I got all into the deck community of people talking about the decks, and then I thought, I want to make my own videos too. I want to contribute. I want to talk about this. I want to talk as I'm learning, as I'm growing, as I'm discovering. So I started my channel, and I started doing these videos, these short, well, not short, but these sort of not walkthroughs, but just kind of reviews. That's how my channel began. Reviews, sharing about tarot and oracle decks and crystals, because hand in hand, I was also into crystal healing, really tremendously, actually helping me with my physical pain, with emotional stuff, really connecting to the crystals. And that was also another memory that was like, I was remembering a past, my childhood and my teenage years, where I just loved crystals. And I kind of forgot about that part of me as well. And that's another whole story, but I discovered also a box of crystals that I bought when I was a teenager. And then it all kind of came together at the right timing. It was really nice how, when you look back, you think, the timing is how synchronicities, things that arrive in front of your eyes at a moment where you hadn't really, even if they were there, you just didn't notice them. So I explored tarot through connecting with others through YouTube, and that was so much fun. And then I somehow accumulated a huge number of decks, which I honestly haven't counted my decks. I don't even know how many I have, and in a way I kind of don't want to know because it scares me to think that I actually have all these decks. But you know, I don't regret it. I love all my decks, and I haven't regretted, really honestly, buying too many of them at all. I've done some exchanges, gave away some decks, but I never went through a stage where I purged a whole bunch of my decks. I still love my decks. I just, what happened was, so as I talk about my journey, what happened was at some point I didn't really feel like buying decks anymore. Part of it was the money I was spending that I didn't want to spend on decks anymore because I wanted to spend it on other things. And part of it was also that they take space. They take a lot of space. And one thing I learned from traveling, from all my years of traveling from places to places, is I don't want to accumulate too much stuff. And unfortunately, I can't help it, and I have. But like, that was the other reason, the space issue. And then also just not having enough time to study all these decks, to get to know them. So way before this whole depth year trend appeared, I personally took a depth year. I decided I'm not going to purchase decks anymore. I'm going to just use what I have, learn with what I have. And I also realized that I wasn't getting the same type of pleasure from buying new decks anymore. It was like I felt guilty that I have all these decks that I'm not using. I just felt guilty, because I'm not a collector as in buying decks or anything really, and not using it. I do make a personal connection with my decks, very personal connection with my decks. It's a big part of my spiritual practice. And like I said, as an artist, I really appreciate my decks. And it's like feast for my eyes. It's like I can eat them with my eyes, It's like I really enjoy them. I take pleasure in them. So I took that break, and it was really good. I decided I made a video about this on my channel a while ago, where I took 6 months off of purchasing decks. And then I realized that was really healthy for me, because I went from binge buying all these decks to which decks do I really love, and that I don't have to have all of them, that I don't need all these decks. Maybe I want them, and which is kind of how it is now. There's a lot of decks that I want, and I make wish lists, and I go through it every once in a while, and sometimes I change my mind. I don't make that kind of quick decision to get a deck right away. It's not like that reactive wanting to have it anymore. It's more like taking my time. And also I have other priorities, other ways that I want to spend my money. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with buying decks and collecting them. It's your money. You can spend your money however you want. People have different interests. Some people collect wine. Some people, spend their money on, I don't know, a bunch of other things. So it's like, money is, I guess, in my opinion, to be used for our comfort, pleasure, necessities. And if it brings you joy, then, it's a form of therapy, I guess, right? It's better than drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and spending money on that, in my opinion. But anyway, so that's another topic. But I'm really happy with the decks I have now. And so I guess at some point, about 1.5 years ago, when I moved into this present apartment, I was having a lot of stress in my life. Lots of changes, lots of things. And I felt kind of stagnant in my tarot, my tarot life. my love of tarot, my love of all of that, it kind of fizzled a little bit, but I didn't know why. It wasn't because I didn't love tarot. It was more because it was me. I was going through some changes myself, and I just needed a little bit of a break, and that break was very healthy. I think it really, I needed that time to reflect, to set my priorities, to see what tarot really meant to me, and to put all of this knowledge into practice. So I started actually doing readings, being more proactive about using my decks, learning from them in a different way. And then sort of that kind of stage continued into what it is now, which is that I'm excited again about some new decks that I want to purchase, but my relationship with tarot has really deepened. It's become sort of, I guess, as if I think about it, it's become a way of life. Tarot is a way of life. It's become a way of it's like my filter into viewing the world, and it's like a language. It's like a language that I can speak with others who speak the same language. I can put the archetypes in tarot as well as astrology into my daily life. And then I also, by the way, on the side, discovered the relationship between tarot and astrology, which is a huge passion of mine. It still is. And that's something that's developing as well over the years, over months and years that I'm studying, and it will. So to me, I guess my motto has always been never stop learning. I just love learning. And I think there was a period where I felt as though there was not much more I could learn from tarot. However, shortly after I realized that that wasn't really true, I just needed that little bit of a break. And when I think back to it, I'm very happy about this experience, this little treasure that I found through tarot, and this niche group of people here on YouTube, online, that I've met through tarot. It's just sometimes I think about it, I'm going about my daily life and I think about it, and it just brings a smile to my face, brings a smile to my heart. And tarot really has a special place in my heart, and it always will. It was never really a fad for me. It was never really something that was like a flavor of the month. It was always something very deep. I always had a deep connection with tarot, and I'm really happy that I rediscovered that it was just a phase that I was going through where I needed a little bit of break, but not a complete break. And it wasn't tarot itself, but it was just me and my life and where I was at and the things that I needed to figure out for myself. So tarot and I have been through a lot together, and we've had a profound relationship throughout the years. And I also want to say that I am talking about tarot, but oracle decks are also side to side, they're also a little bit here on the side. It's not just tarot. I also have a connection with the oracle decks that I have. They all contain like memories for me. They all have significance in my life. So I think that's it. That was my story. A little bit of my story time for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear about anything you want to share with me about your tarot experiences throughout the years, then and now, and how you feel about tarot right now. And if you're someone new to tarot, if you're someone who just discovered tarot, that's so exciting. Enjoy it. It's so wonderful and amazing to be in that place of beginner's mind. And I'm really thankful for all of you for being here. Thank you so much. I love you all. I'm sending you lots of love and many blessings as always. I'll see you in the next video. Kisses. Bye everyone. Take care.